Okay. I think that looks better, right? Okay. Yeah, I had to change it down to just regular HD for it to look better. I don't know why. Just didn't want to work that way. No, I had to go 1920 by 1080 for it to look decent. So um, yeah, so tomorrow, I mean the contests are terrible. I was hoping we would get some nice contests, but man, looks like trash. What do we got? Let me see. I had to move everything around, resize everything. But yeah, I mean the main contest is okay. We got 20K to first, um, but like everything else is trash. This 44 is trash. 139 entries, 1K to first, which man, you hate to see that. And then like the single entries are bad. Some decent satellites. I may try to get some edge there, especially if you play NFL. There's some good ones there. So probably jump on some of those for sure. But yeah, just mainly gonna play for love of the game. You know how that is. There's some good college games on the slate. So yeah, and I've probably spent too much time looking at these 5 games for the last week. So hopefully win some money tomorrow. Get someone that 20K, and yeah, have a good time. Because I don't have anything planned tomorrow. Wife's at work, so look how big my fucking cursor is. I can't believe it. Okay, so first game is Jacksonville State and ULL. This Jacksonville State team has been pretty fun all year. They run the football most of the time, and yeah, it's a lot of fun to watch. It's Rich Rodriguez, so he's going to keep it on the ground. They're the fastest team in the country. They play decent defense. They're just fun offensively. I don't know any other way to put it. The problem is they run 3 running backs out there. Like if you look at their last game here, they started Malik Jackson, who is a former Louisiana Monroe running back, and they also ran out Anwar Lewis, who was a starter last year and was one of the best running backs on their team. And then they also played Ron Wiggins. Snaps are right there. So I think probably target Malik Jackson if you're going to play anybody. Anwar Lewis is probably their better running back. But yeah, it's tough to play these guys, especially at their price. Okay, there we go. I lost my screen for a second there. But yeah, I would say Malik Jackson is decent. Anwar Lewis probably as a tournament pivot, but there's this running back slate is really loaded, and probably just taking a chance in tournaments that one of those guys gets you there. Now on the ULL side, Caboti has been getting most of the snaps. They did have a blowout in their last game. I think they played Louisiana Monroe and blew them out. So these snaps are kind of skewed. They're all over the place. Caboti should get most of the snaps there. Draylon Washington should be back. He's 3K and pretty talented. The problem is this Jacksonville State rush defense is really good. So it's tough to play one of them, especially not sure what these snaps are going to look like. Either. I was hoping we would get to play Elijah Davis at 3K because he looked good in their last game, had 100 yards rushing, and he's 3K, but it doesn't look like we'll do that. So receivers, you really don't want to play Jacksonville State's receivers just because they don't throw the ball as much. They want to keep it on the ground. But PJ Wells and Perry Carter have looked really good lately. They have had Carter had 9 targets in their last game, and Wells had 7. And I've always liked Perry Carter's game. I think he's a good option there. And 3 touchdowns on the year as well. Snaps are pretty concentrated. You have 92, 90, and 90. So those are some decent options in tournaments. If somehow they fall behind, they're a fast-paced team, it could be fun. So that's decent. Louisiana Lafayette on their receiver side, it's all over the place. Look at these snaps. Like I said, they're kind of skewed because they had that blowout last game, but it's kind of like this every every week. They have all of these guys playing in games this year, so it's tough to figure out. I'd say Broussard is decent, 4K, but you don't have to go there. There's not much upside in these guys for sure. The quarterbacks, if you look at them, Zion is going to be the chalkiest option on the board tomorrow. He runs, and he's not expensive at all. He has 81 rush grade from PFF, and he's just going to score a lot of points on the ground, and he's a good play. Jacksonville State's pass defense is pretty bad, so you can definitely take a chance on Chandler Fields for ULL. He's a good passer, 83 pass grade for PFF, and he's looked decent. So especially if they're playing from behind in a pace-up spot, I don't hate that. It kind of gets you off that Cal Texas Tech game that I love so much. I think that's decent. I don't really want much of the next game, Miami, Ohio, and App State. I think, if you look at the the pace, Miami, Ohio is the slowest team in the nation, and they milk that play clock. And not to mention that they have they're starting a new quarterback tomorrow with Avion Smith transferring out. They're starting Henry Hessen. He's 6,700. But I think their game plan mostly is going to be to keep it on the ground and just pound the rock. If you remember last time out, App State got destroyed by Troy's rushing game. So it's possible that could happen again. They have Rashad Amos, and I think he looked good in the MAC championship game against Toledo. He's 6,500. And they can do the same things that Troy did on the ground to this App State defense. So I don't hate him as a tournament play. I don't think he's going to be crazy owned because of the other running backs on this slate. So, and if you look last game, he got 61% of the snaps. Kenny Tracy played 33% of the snaps, but Amos got most of the carries there. Even when Tracy was in, he didn't get much work. So. I don't mind him in tournaments. There's high upside there against this App State defense. So I don't want to play the quarterbacks in this game, mostly because of the weather. I think the wind gusts are supposed to get up to 20. There's going to be some rain. Thanks, Coy, for giving us the weather report every week. We appreciate that, and it goes along with what I thought early on in the week. The total's been dropping in this one. Nate Noel's in the transfer portal, it should mostly be Kanye Roberts at running back, 55% of the snaps last week, he looks good, but this game's going to be slow, and it's tough for me to suggest you playing anybody against Miami of Ohio. Defense has been really good this season, and I'm not going to play much of the receivers either. I think Caden Robinson is in play. If you're going to play anybody, he's 27 targets the last 3 weeks, and he looks explosive. Got hurt in the championship game, but he looks solid. I think Eli Wilson's okay, the tight end for App State. His targets are up there. If you look at his box scores, he's done some good things. So but yeah, the weather's going to be terrible. Miami, Ohio is working in a new quarterback, and I think they're going to keep the ball on the ground. So um, yeah, it's rough for me to play anybody there. Next game, New Mexico State and Fresno. Last we saw Pavia, he was a little banged up. I think he was favoring his elbow. So, but he's supposedly good to go, and I like him. I think he can run the football against this Fresno rush defense. Our New Mexico running back that scored 40 for us that one week, he was my play of the week. Ran all over this Fresno team. I forgot what he had. Let me pull up the box scores here from that game, but he destroyed Fresno on the ground, and New Mexico State does a lot of those same things. Yeah, Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt was his name. 204 and 2 touchdowns against this Fresno team on the ground, and that was at Fresno too. So I think this New Mexico State team wants to run the ball, and they should be able to, in my opinion. And Pavia is a big part of that. It's tough to play any of these running backs. You can always take a shot on our guy, Monty Watkins. 40, he's priced up at 4,600. Snaps are still down there, but he does have a couple touchdowns on the year. Actually, 2 touchdowns. Okay, yeah, a couple touchdowns on the year. Malik Sherrod, just looks like one of the best plays on the board again. Target share 11%, and he's has 9 touchdowns on the year. Just going to get fed the ball. He's going to be chalky, but I still think he's a good play. Good PFF grade on the year, and we love those volume guys, especially bowl season. He's just going to get fed, so I think he's a good play. The receivers, New Mexico State had a guy that left, and I forget who it was, but it's one of their starters, Trent Hudson. He left, so could have some more targets for these guys, but New Mexico State's going to want to run the ball as always. They'll still pop some passes over the top with their play action, with Pavia throwing it deep, but like Brady's a good play. His targets are pretty consistent around that 4 or 5 range, so I think he's in play. These Fresno guys are gonna, they're gonna air the ball out. Their coach retired due to health reasons, so not sure what they're gonna do on offense, but to be successful, I think they're gonna have to pass the ball a little bit. So I think this Magdalena guy has looked great lately. He's gonna have some ownership a little bit. But 7 targets last game. Same with Eric Brooks. He's solid. And, snaps have kind of been all over the place for him. But, they love to pass the football. Jalen Moss is a great tournament play. 5 touchdowns on the year. But, yeah, just, going to have some Pavia ownership. Maybe some Keen in tournaments. And Sherrod, I think, is a great play in all formats. This UCLA Boise game is another one to target. Big factor, I think, in this one's going to be the motivation of UCLA. I know they had some guys that are going to sit out on the defensive side of the ball. Steele hasn't practiced all week, so expect him to be out. Their quarterbacks are healthy, so that's good. They have that going for them. They don't have to play Dante Moore, which was dragging them down the last couple weeks because he's been so bad. He transferred out, so you should see a lot of Garbers and Colin Schley. The problem is, Schley comes in on those rundowns and runs the football. He's a great runner, a lot better than Garbers. Garbers, he's a good passer, and I think he can do some damage. Boise's most likely starting C.J. Tiller. He's 4,500. He doesn't run though, and I think that's the main issue with him. But I think they definitely try and run the football here against this UCLA team um, with Gene T and Halani. Um, but the tough thing is that UCLA has been stout against the run all year, second right now in rush defense, and I think that I'm going to throw some ownership at Gene T and hope he gets breaks off a long pass play or two. His target share is almost 15%, and I think he gets a lot of dump offs tomorrow. And I think he has a big game through the air. TJ Harden should start at running back for UCLA, and I like his matchup here. Boise is 75th against the run, and I think that's the way to beat them. So I think Harden's a good play. He's going to have some ownership just because a steal out and his price. It's going to look good. The situation behind him, I think it's going to be Colson Yankoff at 3,200. I just don't know for sure. He's listed on the depth chart behind him, but he's like a 6'4", just tall white dude with a mustache. So it's like, man, every time I see that, I'm like, man, I don't know. This guy could be a fullback or something. He's played a little bit, and look at his yards after contact per attempt. They're crazy. Almost 5.69, very nice. And and they also have this Anthony Adkins kid. I think he's the transfer from Army or one of the service academies. He's a big dude, and he could play a little bit too. So yeah, it's rough there, but I think Harden's a great play. GNT's a great play. Halani in tournaments. His owners, both of their ownership is going to be down for those two guys, just because of the matchup. UCLA has been so good, but again, the motivation could be in play here, and that's something you look at in bowl season every year. So that's rough. Boise, the receivers here, Logan Loya is probably my favorite receiving target on the slate. 25 targets the last two games is elite, 31% target share, 5 touchdowns on the year. It's going to be there. The volume's going to be there, and I love to see that, especially his quarterback's healthy. It just looks good. Sturdivant, I love playing him too. He's an explosive guy, and that 14-yard ADOT is more than solid. Boise passing game's hard to play just because they're bringing this new quarterback in Tiller. I think Bowens is okay if you want to play him and take a shot. 3,300. He's solid, but yeah, it's tough to play with the new quarterback. We don't know what he's going to look like at all. So it's mostly the running game in this one. And if you want to take a shot on Garbers, that's fine too. Just make sure to pair him with the receiver, because that means he's probably going to hit some long passes and that go for touchdowns. And Schlee doesn't come in and vulture those. So and then Gene T and Halani in tournaments, and Harden in all formats is a great play, and Loya, of course, in all formats is a great play. Last game of the day is Cal and Texas Tech. I think it's the best game environment on the slate. The only way it doesn't get there is, Cal got a new offensive coordinator. They promoted a guy after theirs left for Baylor. But at his previous stop at North Texas, he was fast-paced as the offensive coordinator. I think they were top 25. So, both defenses are bad, and you love to see that when you're looking at a game environment as well. I forget where this game is. Let me look it up here. I think it's indoors, California, Texas Tech, but I could be wrong. It's Shreveport. That's right. So it is outside. It is a little cold, so there's some kind of elements there, but no wind or bad weather, so it looks good. and no worries there at all. Um, but the both quarterbacks are in play. It's always tough to play the Texas Tech quarterback Morton when Taj does all the work and is such a stud. But I think he's a good tournament play. He's going to be lower owned at 8K, the 8K price tag. I think Mendoza is also going to be lower owned. Just doing a little searching around. I don't see a lot of people on him just because they like the running backs in this game so much, and for good reason. If you look at those two guys, Ott and Brooks, almost over 80% snaps last week in their last game. Target share is good. They've both almost scored double-digit touchdowns. PFF grade 86 and 91, and both teams give up a ton of points to the rush. So yeah, it's tough not to play those guys. They should smash. A little bit more of threat of some of these backup running backs coming in and taking some of the work, like Isaiah Fonse, 4,600. He didn't play in their last game, but he's played a little bit this year. This Williams Thomas kid as well played a little bit a couple weeks ago. Nobody's coming in for Taj Brooks. He's just going to get fed. So that's why you're going to see that ownership number for Taj Brooks be way up there, almost 90%. So for sure, he's a tough fade. I don't see myself having a lineup without him on it tomorrow. So he's just the best play on the slate for sure, in my opinion. This game's going to be fast, and it should hopefully have a lot of points here. Receiver situation, Texas Tech had a lot of guys transfer out, guys that I hated playing throughout the year. So, I'm kind of glad it's a little thinner than it was during the season. They had a couple of guys. Let's see. I know on the Cal side they had Taj Davis leave, Brian Hightower leave. Those were two of their main guys that they ran out there. But on the Tech side, I think Fungi left. One of their other big target guys, he's not even in the pool, it looks like. But yeah, it should be Xavier White, Dre McCray, Coy Eakin, and maybe Jordan Brown. He's had some issues this week with practicing. If he doesn't go, Brady Boyd should start as well. I think Dre McCray looks really good to me at 3,500. I think he's one of the better plays. He's so explosive. Targets are up there as well. Xavier White has had some big weeks in years past, and he's going to start. Cal's given up 41 points per game to receivers so far this year. I just think it's a great play here. So on the Cal side, they're going to be starting Monroe Young at 3,100 with Taj Davis out. So you should see him start. Tron Grizel as well, 5,200. He's a stud. Came on late for us, and he's played some good football. 5 touchdowns on the year. And then you have Jeremiah Hunter, who's a stud, 6,100. 17 targets the last 2 weeks, and he's has 7 touchdowns this year. Just a really good player. Also a kind of guy that kind of goes overlooked is Jack Injuries at 4K. He's a tight end, and his targets are up there as well. 2 touchdowns on the year. Plays the whole game, so you love to see that on slates like this, especially. It's good to get those guys into your lineups that are pretty safe and are cheap. So yeah, I think it's a solid slate. I'll be attacking this Texas Tech Cal game. It surprised me a little bit to see outside of the running backs, the rest of the piece is kind of lower owned. Not a lot of people banging the drum for these guys, especially the receivers. So if you want to go get different in tournaments, I think these receivers are the place to go. You know, there's some good plays. You know, the pace is going to be fast, 15th and 16th in pace this year. You know, both are basically pass funnels. Can't play run defense. Totals are high. I think this is a little low too, to be honest. If you want a good bet for tomorrow, it's probably that. And you know, like the under in the App State Miami Ohio game. I think it's gone down a little bit from what I have here, but I think it's still good. I think that game is going to have a lot of running, and it's just going to absolutely be terrible. So, yeah, as always, you know, I'll get some more thoughts up on the playbook. I'll be in the Discord all day tomorrow, and you know, if anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. So, hope y'all have a good night. Enjoy your weekend, and let's take down this 20K tomorrow.